Greetings, dear ones, and a warm, warm welcome. Thank you for being here. As always, we begin with our gratitude to you. Call yourself light workers, light bearers. The word does not matter. What matters is that you yourself recognize you're here for a reason. You have a purpose. To serve the light is another phrase you can use to describe it. No matter what words you use, you are here in service to humanity, to raise the vibration of this planet at this crucial time as we shift humanity into a higher level of consciousness. You are on the leading edge of this, and you are here to be reminded not only that that is the truth, but also of the importance of that truth. You all acknowledge that that's who you probably are. You acknowledge you have served in this capacity many, many lifetimes previously. A lot of you are reconnecting to your past to confirm this, to awaken within you the knowledge that you have accumulated over lifetimes to serve you in this one right now. For all of your lifetimes past have been about this one and the ones forward from here. This is not the end. Many, many of you would like to think that this is the last time that you will ascend. And some of you will, but many of you won't. And there's a very good reason for that. We have a very important message to impart today. We are at a time of a great shift within the great shift. The spiritual journey needs to make a quantum leap, meaning those who are awakening to their purpose as a light bearer must now shift into a new era where you begin to live your purpose. You've been, up till now, connecting with the light bearer identity. You have been looking to the past, to the ancient sites. You have been listening to the stories, rekindling your DNA, knowledge that you hold within you, knowledge that you have carried for lifetimes, experiences of how to use that knowledge purposefully, meaningfully in reality. You've accumulated all of that for this time and times forward. Because the information has been lost, it has been annihilated from your planet. The information itself can and will return. There is enough physical evidence on this planet to point you in the right direction. However, this is not where the knowledge truly is. The knowledge is within you. The sacred sites that are beginning to show themselves all over your planet are important, but their importance is not their history as such. Their importance is their ability to rekindle in you, in your spiritual DNA, the knowledge that you carry. These sites, when you stand near them, on them, touch the stone has memory, and this is given to you. This can only happen if you are open to it. And this is where we need to move forward now. This ability that you all have latent within you, as this channel sits here doing right now, you all have this ability. Your intuition and your ability to channel higher vibrations, you all have this gift, but it has been annihilated from your society. systematically destroyed. And the fear within you still lives within you. The memory, you all lived lifetimes where the knowledge that you carry, you died for, and often brutally. But that was not the hardest part. The hardest part was witnessing the demise of a higher way of life, witnessing the descension of humanity into the reality we live in today, one devoid of spirituality, one devoid of love, connection, and a sense of we. What has overtaken is a sense of I, me. What has overtaken is the egoic identity. The egoic identity only knows its own survival. It will do anything to survive. It will plunder other people's resources. It will fight to the death for its beliefs. It will start wars in the name of what it believes in. It will kill its fellow human being to survive. This is not the natural way. This is not what this planet was intended to be. This goes against everything that is the truth. Dear ones, you carry the knowledge of the original intention for this planet, and we are returning to that way of being. That way of being is your true nature that only knows we. Together, connection, it's the only way humanity can flourish and thrive on this planet. Everything is done for the greater good of all being every living sentient thing, which is everything on this planet, not just your species, the good of all. How does one know what the good of all is? How can you possibly make those kinds of decisions on a daily basis? It can be overwhelming. And this is what you are here to wake up within you, the ability to make decisions from a higher perspective. This is not something you can carry in your brain. The ego makes decisions from the mind, limited to the individual human experience. Think about decisions you make on a daily basis. Think about the back and forth that goes on in your mind. Should I, shouldn't I buy those shoes? Can I afford them? Am I worthy of them? Do I really need a new pair of shoes? This is the same level that most human beings make crucial decisions from. We go to war with such limited thinking. Decisions should be made by tuning in, just as this channel is doing right now, to higher intelligence. You have a dilemma, you have a problem. Simple things relating to, say, your family. What's the best for everyone? How can you possibly know that? You can possibly know that because we're all connected. That information comes from a higher place. And in order to receive the wisdom that you need to make decisions for the greater good of all, come from there. And it's time now that the light bearer, the light worker, whatever name you want to give yourself, starts to take these gifts seriously. Intuition, knowing, being able to see the future, being able to communicate with ones passed over. We call these psychic abilities, and they are currently in the realm of neon signs, little crazy people shops where you go and have a laugh. For funsies, we go and listen to psychics. This must stop. This is a serious business, for this is the way forward. This is where you will find the wisdom that you need to make the decisions to solve all the problems upon your planet. And as you know, it starts with you. So the abilities of psychic people must start to be brought into normal life. This is not woo-woo. This is not crazy people stuff. This is real human ability. And it's the only way humanity thrives upon this planet, totally connected to the stars, to the intelligence of the universe, to the sentience of the plants and animals. Reconnect with your ability to talk to plants, talk to animals. You are one, you are not separate. And moving into unity is about remembering this. You are one with everything. You know where to plant the seed to bring you the nutrients for your body, thus not needing pharmaceuticals. The earth knows what you need to be healthy. You must rekindle these gifts to put your hands in the soil and inform the soil where your body's at. What does it need from the earth to thrive? You hold the seed in your hand, you program it with that information, you plant the seed in the soil, you commune with the seed, it grows into a plant that you eat that will heal your body. This is the information that is your birthright. And it has been sidelined as a sideshow in a circus. This must stop. And you are the ones who will bring this into credibility. Do you understand? We need this to be credible. So it comes from people like you, intelligent, already doing all right in life. You are sensitive ones that have survived way better than most. Look around you at spiritual gatherings, you will find people who are on the track but have been so traumatized by this planet that they are less able to function. And we will serve those people too. They need a lot of help. But there are ones such as you who are ready to hear this information, and it's not easy to hear, as you know. There are ones like you who have managed to overcome the trauma, to be strong enough to function in this planet, in this world, as an intelligent, rational human being. You have credibility already. It starts with you. You must take yourself seriously. Your intuition, your knowing, following your heart when you know it's the right thing to do, telling other people why you are making such a decision that may look a little bit odd to the bystander. Being able to say, this is what I know. This is the decision I'm making because I know it is the right decision for everyone. Having the courage to start making life choices based on knowing that you cannot explain to anyone rationally. You must start to build the strength within yourself to take yourself seriously in that way. You have been programmed not to, and you have been systematically punished for it over lifetimes. This is a big thing to take on, but we have to do it now. There is no other way to get humanity out of the situation that it's in, that great numbers of people start to connect to the wisdom of the universe, to make decisions outside of the box that are not obvious if you use your rational human mind. Together, not separately. You must come together. And these messages form an important part of that. We must get this information out to more people like you, ready, who are ready to make credible in our society psychic abilities that otherwise at the moment seem out there. They are not out there. They are normal functioning of the human on planet Earth. The energies are here. If you're sensitive enough, you will be sensing a rising of the energies available to you now. That you can do this, but you must take it seriously. You must set aside time to develop the skill that is lying dormant within you. Now, if you already walk this path, you will have had experiences of knowing you're already following your heart by being here today. Start to pay attention to the little knowingness. Get to know your abilities. How do they work? Because everybody's different. Everybody has a different strength. You all have the same array of abilities, but some of you have like a speciality in a certain area. Some of you be very visual in visions. Some people will be auditory. Some people will feel sensations. Find out what works for you. Take it seriously. Spend time. And it doesn't have to be a long time. 20 minutes a day. Sitting, practicing stillness. Your brain has to be in the correct state. Slow your brain waves down. You all know this. The ground has been laid in the spiritual journey. Everybody knows now meditation is crucial. And we know scientifically why. Slow your brain waves down so that you are then open, a receiver for the information you need. So if you are not already in a practice of stillness, this is crucial. You must be able to reliably bring yourself into a state of at least delta wave consciousness in order to receive information you need on any given subject. At least that state. You can go deeper, but at least delta state is enough. You must have no agenda. This is exploration, and this is where it is difficult for you. You have memory of being persecuted. You have in this lifetime a cultural programming that will tell you you're not quite right if you begin to live like this. You're up against a lot in your biology and in your cultural programming. Acknowledge that. That is real. And it's why you're not already psychic, for want of a better word. "20 minutes a day, practicing stillness. You will begin to explore your inner world for yourself for no reason other than a desire to be the full human being you were born to be. with all of your gifts and abilities turned on. This limited human you think you are is a fraction of your potential. And in doing so, you're paving the way for the young ones behind you who are already more switched on than you. You're paving an acceptable path. We will change the culture. In the future, it will be perfectly normal. Business will be conducted in this way. Board meetings. Funny as it may seem now, board meetings will be conducted in silence with a crystal in the middle of the room. This is the future. And you're part of that. Very important part of that. We thank you for your attention today. We realize it was a very strong message. There's a lot of energy going about.
Thank you, Lord Emanuel and the collective. Sorry I interrupted you.
It's absolutely fine. We were just going to say.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for reminding us of this very urgent and important message. I think this 20 minutes is a very well invested time to sit in the morning or at night. So today we have a couple of new people here. So, or Lena was here last time. We have Elin here. So it's nice that we are a little bigger group today. So if anyone have any questions related to this topic that has been touched upon, or just your own personal questions, if you have any, so feel free to go ahead, any of you. Somebody wants to start?
So it's okay to ask personal questions, not only
anything. Absolutely anything is welcome here, yes.
That's amazing, thank you. Well, I have, I just come, so I really relate to what you talked about with the plants and the seeds, and also regarding that and regarding to the abilities you speak of, how can I explore my abilities when I have difficulties finding something to hold on to, finding some guidance on to where to look to first, or look for sensations or visuals or auditives?
So this is what we meant by 20 minutes a day. First of all, acknowledge who you are. Now we know that you're already on a journey and you think you know, but do you see that we almost use that information as entertainment? We're not fully connected to it. One of the problems of the light worker is that we are so sensitive. This planet is so harsh and so difficult to understand. Suffering, war, abuse, child abuse. These things are so horrific to the sensitive one that we become horrified by this existence. So our spiritual journey, if you really sit still and be really honest with yourself, the spiritual journey is about escaping the harshness of this reality. You're not really here. You're wishing to be somewhere else. This is a disconnect at a fundamental level. That means you're not really feet on the ground here. And if you're not feet on the ground here, you're floating away somewhere up here. You're no use to anyone on planet Earth because you're trying to leave. Does this make sense?
When you say you mean me personally, or are you talking about the...
Both. We're talking to you personally and everyone. So when you ask questions in this arena, you can be absolutely assured you're not the only one who has this question. So we are all individual human beings, but it's kind of an illusion. We're a collective consciousness and everybody has the same problems. So when you speak to your problem, you're speaking for a lot of people. So when we say you, we're talking about you specifically. Yes, we're addressing you personally, but it applies to everyone. So you need to be really honest with yourself. You need to sit still to see the truth of your spiritual seeking. Why do you seek spiritual awareness? And if you are truthful with yourself, you will find you're trying to get away from something. You're trying to get away from the uncomfortable ego that would have you lose your temper, that would have you be not at peace with the world. You're always trying to improve yourself. There's always a trying to get away from. We look here to the divine. We want to ascend. It's a very elaborate form of escapism. We're not making this wrong. It's a very necessary part of a spiritual journey, but we are saying we need to move on now. On to the next level. So it begins with really understanding why you're here, that you serve a very important purpose. And so instead of looking up for the answers, you look in. You are a walking treasure. You have the universe within you. It's not up there, out there. It's right here. And in order to access that information, first of all, you must recognize and acknowledge the importance of your existence, that you matter here on planet Earth with your feet on the ground. You're a foot soldier, not an angel. You're here. You are an angel, but you know what we mean by that. You're not outside of this reality. Your feet are on the ground. You're a foot soldier, and you need to be with your feet on the ground, not trying to escape. Why do we want to escape? It's so painful here. It's not pretty what goes on here. So we must find a way within this illusion to find peace within ourselves, to find the beauty in the trauma. It starts with looking in. So we are saying, spend 20 minutes at least a day doing nothing. It's going to seem boring. It's going to be difficult to get you to sit down for 20 minutes with nothing to do. It's going to seem like you need help. No. Sit down, sit still, and be quiet. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, your mind, you'll think, I have no abilities. How do I stillness? It takes time. You've got to get to know yourself. It's an internal journey, inward.
Thank you.
We sense your feeling of helplessness. We sense the distress that it is to be on this planet. We understand. We understand. If you review previous messages, it will help you to begin to see the illusion of this reality. It's an illusion that you're bought into that fuels your sense of helplessness and fear. This is a scary place to be for a sensitive soul like you. To be still in this world is almost to feel exposed. And this is what you're all dealing with, the fear of exposure. If you're seen to be a gifted one of light, you in the past would die for that. So we make it simple. Bring it home to somewhere safe. You, with you. In silence, we recommend that you find a place away from the busyness of your life. A room where you can close the door. An area that you have, with your intention, made clean. An area where you may have things that you like, if you are liking crystals or representations of saints, whatever it is that brings you into a sense of connection to the divine. Maybe have those things, not necessary, but they will help you, support you. And then we recommend you just sit. Closing your eyes is a good idea, because that is one sense that you have shut down. And then maybe have a timer. Time yourself for 20 minutes. Do not leave the chair. That's all. That's all you do. No agenda. If you want to use your breath, that works. Concentrate on your breath. Watch it come in and out. Any kind of classic. You don't need us to give you meditation techniques. They're everywhere. But we're not saying it needs to be a practice as serious as that. We just need you to sit still with yourself. But yes, breathing, anything that slows you down, but it will happen naturally if you sit long enough. Eventually, your brain will give up because you're not paying attention to it. It will ask you to leave. It will tell you you have important things to do. It will tell you this is a waste of time. Your mind will tell you to go clean the oven or the fridge or some other crucial task that suddenly becomes very important. Your ego will do everything to stop this from happening. And when you ignore it. And that's why we're saying, make yourself sit for 20 minutes. You're not allowed to leave the chair. You're not allowed to look at your phone, get your computer on, take all of those things away, sit still for 20 minutes. And what will happen is your brain will realize that you're not interested in the beta waves. You're not interested. And it'll say, oh, they're not listening. Okay, might as well stop that. And you'll drop down. And then you'll drop down. And then you'll start to hear your true self. And it knows everything you need to know. There's a little bit of trust required. Don't think about it, just do it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, absolutely. I think that one of the things you pick up on is that I live a scattered life.
Yes.
With 2 places. I have obligations and relationships that doesn't match, and a job that doesn't match what I think my purpose is.
We feel that.
Yeah. So
and it's very distressing for you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just focus inwards when there's so much things on the outside that needs to be puzzled together.
Yes, and that is a story that you're telling yourself. The real issue is that if you sit still long enough, you're going to have to feel the pain. This is what you're avoiding.
I don't know what to do with the pain.
We know that. So this is part, we are so grateful you're here asking these questions. These are the people like you we must reach now. You need help. The suffering on this planet has damaged so many important souls to the point that they cannot live their purpose. This is what you're speaking to. It's exactly what you're saying. You know you're here for something else, and yet your life, it compels you to stay fractured and helpless. We understand the dilemma that it feels like. What do we do with the pain? This is such an important question. The sensitive soul has had to deal with more pain than any other human being. And the risk of sending hundreds and thousands of sensitive souls to this planet to raise the vibration, the danger is it's too much. The danger is you're traumatized beyond what is helpful, meaning you're traumatized to the point that you cannot then fulfill your purpose. This is where we're at right now. This is what these messages are here to address, and the people we are here to serve and reach. And you guys sitting in front of us right now are an important part of getting this message out. There are hundreds and thousands of people like you. We need a way out, and the only way out is in. So what do we do with this pain? Gentle, gentle, gentle. Softly, softly, softly. This pain is coming from a very young aspect of you. And like a child, what do you do with a scared, hurt, frightened child? What do you do? If a 5-year-old child was in front of you, crying, upset, traumatized, something really terrible has happened to this child, what would you do? You would scoop the child up in your arms. You would hold it so tightly, and you would tell it how much you loved it. You would tell it that it's okay, everything's going to be okay. You're here now. It's not alone. You would tell this child it's not alone. You understand its pain, and it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. This is how you must talk to yourself. With the deepest love, the deepest compassion, because only you know your pain. Only you know your unique experience on this planet. No one else can ever understand you like you understand you. You must recognize the hurt that was caused to you as a child, whatever that was, the misunderstandings, the getting into trouble when you didn't understand why, you were just exploring your reality. But there were rules, and you broke them, and you got reprimanded for that. Even if it's as simple as that, that's enough to cause a sensitive soul a lot of trauma. And if you suffer anything more than that, it has the potential to paralyze you, that you may never reach your full potential. It's such an important subject. So in recognizing the child in you that never got the love it needed, and it's impossible. It's actually, and again, we invite you to go back to previous messages. We have talked about this in the past, but we will talk about it until we no longer need to. There is no such thing as perfect parenting. It's not possible for any human being to know what a child really needs. It's part of the process of becoming an individuated human being. It's a natural part of this human experience. But what's wrong with this planet is that the child who is traumatized never gets addressed. At some point in your life, if this was a thriving planet in the Garden of Eden, at some point in your life, you would be taken through an initiation. You would have a rite of passage to take you from child to adult. And that process has been lost. But that would be the natural and normal journey that a human would be on a healthy planet. You would be taken through a rite of passage where you are forced to find your own connection to God, where you say that you realize your parents are not your parents. They are human beings who gave birth to your physical body, but your real parent, you're a child of the universe, a child of God. There is a rite of passage that should take place where you are forced to sever the ties of your parents, to recognize they are human beings that did not mean to hurt you. You reconcile those differences. You understand them as a more grown-up human being, and you connect to your spiritual higher self. And that becomes your guiding light. That becomes your parent. This is lost. And so what happens on this planet is that you remain a perpetual traumatized child. And that is not difficult to understand if you take a look around you. Look at the most powerful people on this planet. Look at the presidents. Do they sound like rational, grown-up people? Look at your governments where they gather to talk and debate. Have you've seen this? Do they sound like grown-up people? No, there are children having tantrums to get what they want. Because there is no connection to their higher self, to the intelligence of the universe. So then they just force with their will to get what they want, just like children. They manipulate, they demand, they then throw a fit if it's not working, drop bombs on each other if it's not working. So for you personally, this is a journey then you give yourself. The child within you is hurting. You need to be the parent to that child. Now, the pain that you speak of, this accumulated pain, because what happens is you have the child that hurts, and this child has never given what it needs in a rite of passage. So it remains hurt. This child concludes certain things about this planet, about this reality. The child will conclude the world's not safe. People are untrustworthy. It's everyone else's fault. These are childish beliefs that then become your identity. Then you, again, we invite you to look at previous message where we go in deeply into how you create your reality with your beliefs but it doesn't seem like that because your reality is feeding you back what you believe to confirm what you believe is true. Therefore, you are back to front. Reality is, you think reality is the way it is, but actually it's your belief that's informing the universe of what you create. You create this reality, it feeds back to you, but you don't realize that you're creating it. So it seems like this real world, but it's just reality giving you what you believe. So we understand this is a lot of information and we need to rein it in and get very specific now. Your pain is not just coming from the child, it's coming from a lifetime of living out that child's reality. Repeat, repeat, pain, suffering, specific to your child and what it believes. You've been delivered a lifetime of things that are painful. So it's big. And so again, we need you to go back to messages to understand about the ego and the true nature. Your ego will tell you your pain is too much, that you can't, like your question was, what do I do with it? That's the ego talking, saying it's going to kill me. I can't possibly feel that, I will die. This is not true. This is not true. That's your ego fighting to preserve its life. Because your ego knows as soon as you start addressing this pain and dismantling the illusion that created it, its time is up. It will fight to preserve its own life. And in reality, what that means is you'll leave this message and you won't sit in the chair. And your ego will have won. It'll tell you, don't do it. It's not safe. You're going to die. It's not true. And so we invite you to have courage to see your pain as a frightened child that it desperately needs your love. You can hold that child. You have that capacity. Sit in the chair, hold that child that's hurting, the 5-year-old you, and let it cry. The secret to not letting this pain overwhelm you is to become the parent. The parent is a neutral observer. The parent is not the child. If you go into this process as the traumatized child, you will re-traumatize yourself. And this is so important. And this is where so much self-healing practices that have gone in the past are dangerous. The potential to go into any trauma, anything that's happened in the past, to re-traumatize is huge. And that is not what we want to do. That is how you become stuck. You must dissociate yourself from the child. See your inner child as a separate entity, because it is. It actually is. It's an identity that you created. It's not who you are. You must have the capacity to remove yourself from the child. Literally see it, see her, give her think of yourself. You must have images of yourself as 5. See the dress she's wearing, see what her hair looks like, see her. Connect with her pain, but not as her. Bring yourself out as a neutral observer that has no opinion except love, has nothing but love. And then let the child cry. And those tears will come out of your face. And they'll be manageable. And you may need to cry for a long time. There's no rules. You may just need to cry for 5 minutes. That's personal to you. But you begin by feeling it, not as identified as the one suffering. You feel it as a removed observer. Do you think you can do this? Do you think you have the capacity to observe?
I do. I do. Yeah. I think that I don't review my childhood or previous pains as I don't relive it. I don't relive them. So I think that I do some of what you're speaking of already.
Mm-hmm.
But also the question regarding is if I mean I truly want to find my purpose. I think that I have been asking for some sort of guidance towards my purpose, and at this moment I think that I have my life is divided into two purposes, and it's divided with the purpose connecting to where I live, and they are connected to the relationships I have on the two areas. And so every time I go to really expand one of my purposes, something happens on the other side that moves me towards that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the ego is playing me a prank
Yeah,
or
yes, it absolutely is.
okay.
Yeah. So this is a very deep question that we can't get into in this format, in this arena. We can meet with you one-to-one if you wish some clarity on that. But we can tell you that the ego is very clever at masquerading as a purpose. This is why it's so important that you understand that the hurt child, and much of that can be unconscious. So you could have things that hurt you as a child that you're not aware of. It's buried that deep. If these are not released and exposed, you will be locked into a limitation that you can't get out of, and you won't know why. So the ego is very good at masquerading as purpose, and it takes a lot of skill to discern the difference. This is the path of the master. This is the path of the master. The master walks this planet constantly vigilant of the ego and its ways. You have to know yourself very deeply to begin to understand your ego. Your ego must be understood for it to step aside. And we're not asking it to go away. You can't. We'd addressed this in last month's message. You don't want your ego to go away, but you do need to understand it. Otherwise, it will constantly run you. It needs understanding and compassion. So when purpose feels like purpose and it's not, it will always be serving to resolve your identity. So as a child, again, go listen to previous messages to understand the identity versus the true nature. You existed before you came onto this planet. Your identity has been created by you. It's a creation, it's not real. But you must understand it, and you must know it and live it. You're here to live your identity, but it's not meant to make you suffer. So we have to walk this path of mastery, which is to master yourself so that you can live here happily. Then this becomes fun. Then this life becomes something you do not want to escape from, and something you want to come back and do again. It's that much fun. That's what life is supposed to be for you on this planet. Fun, wondrous, limitless fun. And life isn't much fun for many people. And that's why you want to get away from it. But we're asking you to step closer to yourself, to get really right here and work out how you can enjoy this. Living your purpose is the only way you will be fulfilled on this planet. Nothing else will fulfill you. Not money, not possessions, not a house, not jewelry, not other people. There is nothing outside of yourself that will fulfill you. Only your purpose can do this. It's why you have a purpose. The ego masquerades as your purpose when you have not resolved your identity. If you haven't looked at your trauma, you won't understand how you avoid your pain. Purpose that is ego-driven is running from your pain. Let us give you an example to make this make sense to you. Powerlessness. Imagine you have concluded as a child you have no power. We're gonna take an example that's not you. Let's think of a young male individual whose father didn't give him validation, and a mother that didn't nurture him. He would conclude that he was powerless. He didn't get what he wanted, you know, nothing major, but imagine this boy has developed an idea that he has no power and he feels powerless. That's a big deal to a masculine energy. And so what does that little boy do? I'm going to get strong. I'm going to get powerful. So instead of recognizing that he already is powerful as a child of God, he thinks he's not. He believes he's not. So he then must go and get it for himself. So such a young child might start to take karate lessons. He might start to go to the gym. He might start to build a physique that looks powerful. He may start to wear garments that support an image of powerful. He may want to have a fast car. He may want that car to be black or red. He might want that car to look sporty. He may want that car to sound like it has a powerful engine. He may wear jewels to look powerful. Or he may go into politics. He may be driven to get to the top of a company. He will always be seeking power. Such a person may seem like that's his purpose. It's not. That's being driven by your identity that's unresolved. You are powerful, period. There's nothing you have to do to be powerful. You already are. You just have to go within to find it. Nothing outside of you is ever going to give you that. So it's a relentless struggle that will eventually burn that person out. They will eventually get to the end of that road where they realize that money, businesses, cars, beautiful women will never fulfill that feeling of powerlessness. And they can be sitting at the top of an empire, running a global enterprise, and still feel empty and powerless. So that is an example of the difference between an ego-driven purpose and the alternative being one that is in alignment with why you were put on earth. You can't possibly know what your true purpose is when you are listening to the pain of your hurt child. That is a lot of information. We hope we are not overwhelming you.
You make perfect sense. So thank you.
Very good. That was a lot. Is everyone still hanging in there?
I think so. Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant questions, Elin, and wonderful, extensive answers from Lord Emanuel. So I think a lot of people will enjoy this and will be helpful for them. Do we have time for more questions, Claudio Manuel?
One more.
Yeah. One. Anyone feel called to?
I have a question a bit related to this regarding the inner child healing. I have been taking courses and certifications both in coaching and in healing, and I mean with the purpose to help people. And I've been thinking about this and both coaching and healing to try to help people to heal their inner child. On the other hand, when listening to the previous webinars, I also realized that it's balancing on the edge, that there's a risk of also manifesting maybe a hurt child when trying to help somebody.
Yes.
In coaching and healing. And
Yeah.
so this is something that I would like I would like to hear your view on this. I mean, can we even help another person with the healing of the inner child?
Yes.
As this is a part of the illusion, somehow it is a part of the personality and a part of the
Yes.
illusion.
Yes, thank you. It's a good question, and it leads on from what we've already been saying. This information is so important that we get this out, because this is where the light worker is stuck. We have learned that we have limiting beliefs. And again, revisit other messages, but we're just aware we do not have time to go into this as fully as we would like. And reviewing older messages will help with the bigger picture. You have an identity. You have an identity. It's who you think you are. But that is not real. It's not who you are. You exist outside of this reality in a higher dimension. You exist. Not God, that's higher, higher, higher. One level outside of this reality, you are still you. And it's what you think is God. This is why we talk about you being a facet of the creator. You are the creator. And that has multiple, we can't go into that, but that has multiple levels. Let's just keep it to simple things. You exist outside of this reality. That's who you are. You come into this reality for an experience of limitation as a human being. This is something you wanted to do. You can think of it as a game. Now, we understand that can be really hard to take on if you haven't been outside of this reality. You are meant to take this seriously. That's what the illusion is so convincing on purpose. This is meant to be taken seriously. If this wasn't convincing, why you wouldn't bother playing. You would just sit in bed and wait to go back. That's how unserious this is. So the illusion has to be convincing for you to be motivated to play the game. But it is an illusion. You are an identity, a character, and your character will pass. But you won't. You go on. But you just won't have this form, this name, and this face. This is the truth. So what we do to enjoy the game is understand that we are not our identity. It's not who you are. But you must find within yourself, inside, that's why we go inside, you must know yourself to find the truth of who you are. If you are not your identity, then who are you? And how do you know it within you? How can you know in your consciousness, in your conscious awareness, what is you and what is not you? That takes stillness, it takes skill, it takes practice to begin to understand which part of you is the human that you created, the one that suffers, and which part of you is the eternal one that only knows love, peace, connection. There are two aspects of you. And at the moment, with most human beings, the character, the one that suffers, is all of it. Or so you think. But every time you feel joy, every time you remember love, every time you smile, every time you have a spiritual experience, that is you connected to you. That's who you are. But it's so fleeting. It comes and goes. But the stillness, the practice of stillness, that is the time that you need to start to see who you really are within your own consciousness. The voice that you hear, is that your ego or is it your true nature? Your true nature only knows love. And in the stillness, you'll start to recognize there is a difference. Your true nature feels different, sounds different. But until you slow down, you will never hear it. And you will be perpetually run by the limited identity that you think you are, and you will suffer and you will be in limitation and you will die that way. And unfortunately, that is the path for the majority of people. They do not realize they are not who they think they are until the very last minute. No problem. No problem. Death is painless. Death is joyful. No problem to find out then. But wouldn't it be good to find it out before and live from there? Wouldn't that be fun? To love everyone? To feel nothing but joy in your heart for every flower, for every tree, for every minute you take a breath. That's what you want. So we must look at the traumatized child in order to understand it. We're not trying to heal it. You can't. The child was hurt. Real. It can't be unhurt. You can't undo it. You can't say to the child, don't worry, it's all okay, meaning stop hurting now because it didn't happen. It did happen. It was painful. That's real to the child. You can't heal that wound, and you're not meant to. That wound is necessary to bring you into an ego, an identity. It's necessary. However, it shouldn't be allowed to run you beyond childhood. And that's what we spoke about initiation rites. But we've lost that practice. So now it's up to you to do it for yourself. And you must do it first before you can help anyone else. You must deal with your inner child. Deal with, that's not a good way of saying it. So what do we do with the hurt child? We soothe it, we love it, we try to understand it. Let's just say we don't try, we do understand it. We go into stillness, we ask the child, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why are you crying? And they will tell you. She did this to me, he did that to me. Okay, I hear you. That's not fair. That's awful. Oh, I'm sorry. There's nothing worse than someone trying to heal you. Have you ever experienced that, where someone is like trying to fix you? It's irritating. When you have a problem and you want to talk about it, and someone tries to go, well, that's not real. That's just an illusion. you just want to slap them. It's really annoying. It's the same for your inner child. It doesn't want to be made wrong. It needs to be acknowledged. Yes, that hurt. Oh my goodness, of course it did. If you believe that, that's painful. And I'm sorry that happened to you. Doesn't that feel better than trying to be fixed? Just acknowledgement, understanding, compassion. Okay. Now here's the gold. The child made a conclusion to rationalize its pain. Okay, so the child has an experience, it's painful, it's upset. When you're that young, you're fracturing because you came from the unity of oneness. You came from love. This is at odds. You fracture. Your ego is a distortion. There's a fracturing of your reality, of your soul at this point. And it's so painful, the child has to somehow deal with it. And the child deals with it by rationalizing the pain. There's a reason for it. And the child's conclusion is unique to each one of you. You have a unique take on life based on your experiences. So an example, well, basically, especially in the sensitive soul, almost 100% of the time, you will conclude there's something wrong with you. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm a bad person. That's why they're angry with me. That's why my mother is shouting at me. I'm a bad person. She's telling me I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm powerless. I'm helpless. And you are at 5 years old. It's true. But is it true that you're a bad person? No. Are you really powerless? No. Are you ugly? No. Are you too fat? No. Are you too thin? No. None of those things are real. They're not true, but they're true for the child. And this is what we dismantle. Not the hurt, not the trauma. That was real. We dismantle the conclusion the child made. Dear one, you're a bad person? Is that true? No. No. And there goes the energy. Bang, gone. The held trauma releases. It's not true. And those are the revelations, those are the moments you've all probably experienced where you, energy release, tears, whatever, however it manifests. And you're that little bit lighter. And you're that little bit different. And then the next step, and you're not out of the woods yet, the next step is you realize that child is operating you all day long. And you have to start to recognize, if I'm not ugly, then I don't have to put so much makeup on my face every day, or worry about my hair or the clothes I'm wearing, or losing weight. The behaviors that perpetuate the running from your broken identity, you start to recognize them and you can drop them. Who cares if my hair isn't perfect today? Who cares if you start to live a more honest and real life where you're not running from yourself? Do I really want to wear, you start to question all the things that you do, but that are not true for you anymore. This is where change happens. This is transformation. You transform into who you really are, not the person who is running from the beliefs of the frightened child. It's an affront to a child to tell it that its pain is not valid, which is what happens when you try to heal it. It is valid. and it can't be undone. But it can be overcome every day by making different choices, becoming aware of the choices you're making from a frightened child's perspective, and starting to make choices coming from a grown-up, adult, whole, worthy God in form. And you all have it in you to do this. You first, before anyone else.
Thank you so much for your extensive explanation. Very valuable for me.
It is valuable for you because you are important. And there are many people that need to be served. And through technology, we can get this information out.
Absolutely. Thank you. We will. And thank you so much for today. And do you have a closing message for us, Claude Emmanuel?
We are almost frightened to give you any more. We feel the cup is not only full, it is overflowing all over the place. So we do not wish to give you anything more,
Yeah.
but we do wish to bring you back to love. We invite you just to sit for a second with us and feel the importance of you. Feel your heart. You matter. You really matter. There are so many souls behind you on the path that need your help. But you must recognize your greatness first. Do it now. We love you. We thank you. This was a lot, and we thank you for your attention, your patience, and your open minds. You are beautiful, beautiful souls. And it's our absolute honor to serve you. Thank you.